I didn't want to go because I just didn't want to face all this again, having to see one of the assailants. I didn't want to, like, I just didn't want to deal with anything. I think I was more prepared for the fact that I was going to be there and no one else. I don't know why. I've never been through something like this, so I didn't have the understanding that I was just going to go. I thought it was just going to be me speaking on my behalf, and that's it. But I was told that that they had, what is it called when you have someone that can, they're going to testify. Somebody was going to testify on his behalf. And I was all, testify on his behalf? Like, I'm confused. I guess I was so confused at the fact that, how can you testify if you weren't there? Does that make sense? So I was just taken aback, because I was like, well, how can you testify if you weren't? It was only 2 people. Both of them are arrested. Who's going to speak well of him or say something on behalf of him? Thank you. And so anyway, I get to the court and I can see that he gets there. And it takes a minute to get there. But I don't know if I can say his name. It's already over and done with, but I don't know if I can say his name. But he comes in and my heart starts beating. I mean, I'm talking about beating. It's like boom, 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 boom. It's just coming out of my chest. Yes, about the robbery. If anybody else asks if it's about the robbery, please answer it. I don't want to answer that again. And he comes in and he sits like, maybe he's, no joke, maybe 10, 12 feet away from me. He's very close to where I'm sitting. He's looking throughout the room, hasn't really realized like I'm there. I could tell because he's not like, he's just looking through the room to see if any familiar faces or anything like that. So I don't think he recognized me right away. He didn't recognize me until I turned my face, and then from my peripheral, I could tell that he went and put his head down. But I think he put his head down for show, for his family, for the lawyers, for the judge. He put his head down like that. And sorry, I don't give a fuck. I don't care that you have your head down. I don't care that you're showing remorse and you're showing that you're defeated. To me, it feels very showy. So anyway, it takes a moment to finally get to this case. And finally, I hear the woman who's escorted me into the courtroom, and she says to me, "Hey, your case is next." And I said, "Oh, okay." So my heart starts beating again. His lawyer goes up there, and his lawyer he's doing a good job. He looks familiar. I don't know if they hired a really good lawyer, and this lawyer looks extremely like he knows what he's doing. He got testimonies from his family. He got written letters, of course. He got the mother and the sister there, and the father, and the mom-in-law, and his wife, to all speak well of him. And they're saying the best things about him. He's a remorseful human being. He's called and said, "I'm sorry," is what I've heard. This is a quote that the family member said. He calls every single time and he says, "I'm sorry," and that he is very sorry for what he did. Every time he calls us, he's always saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And I was like, I was angry. All I heard was, my body didn't know how else to react other than, that I didn't want to react in that way. I didn't want to also behave idiotic. Trust me, I'm from the hood too. I can act stupidly or like an idiot. So I was like, calm down, Jose. So I get to hear everything that his lawyer is saying. He's going to move out of town. He's going to do well. They already have a place for him to live. The family said that they'll take him in. And the family was like, he is changed. Look at the certificates. He's done very well. He is doing very well, Judge. Please take him. Like, please let him have done time served is pretty much the synopsis of what they're wanting to do. And every word that they say well of him, my heart is palpitating, almost coming out of my chest with how much anger, because I can tell, because I turned to him. Oh, no, I'm sorry. By this time, he's already standing up there. And no, I'm so sorry. No, they're speaking well of him. He's to the left and he's crying. Now that's remorse. I can see that you have remorse for what you're putting your family through. I can tell because he's crying. He's like this. Oh, he was on the right. I'm so sorry. He was standing and they were in front of the judge. One by one. The mother first, and then she said something about me. She said something about me. And the judge said, no. Oh, whoa. Strike that from the whatever. No, you can't do that. So then the mother continues to say something again ill of me. And she says, no, strike that. If you don't get her to stop, I need to get her out. Like, we need to remove her. And she finally wraps it up with, my son is a good human being. Please try my best. So she's sad. She goes and sits down. And then the sister gets up. And the sister goes up there. And you could tell that she's well-spoken. And I don't know what they said that her job, because they brought her job up to explain that she is a good human being and that she will teach him well, and that she knows better than anyone. So she continues to say, my brother is a good brother, and that he is this and he is that. He is very remorseful again. And they continue to say the word remorseful over and over. Every time I hear the word remorseful, it almost makes me angry. I hear exactly what they have to say. I can hear that they're making their plea, and every plea seems like an excuse. And so she then continues to say to me, I'm sorry. The judge goes through the files. My lawyer says, if he was so remorseful, like they keep saying he is, why hasn't he been remorseful as he was sitting there with my client? How come he hasn't said, I'm sorry? But he hasn't. He shows no remorse. He said, if he's so remorseful and he's changed, how come he came back 2 days later to strike again? How come? And he says, look at the paperwork. And I hear the judge going through it. She's like, give me a second. And she says, is this his online, what did she say? She said, is this his social media? Now I know they're talking about me. And I'm watching and I'm listening. My heart's palpitating. My heart is coming out of my chest. And she says to him, okay, anything else to the lawyer? Yes, no. She says to the other lawyer, do you have anybody else that's going to testify? He says, no, we're done. Okay, great. She says, let me go through it. Okay, I've made a plea. I've come up to whatever the conclusion was. And she gave him time. She gave him I had asked for 15. She gave him 12. And there was a collective sigh. Mind you, I'm in the pew to the left, the first row. His family is to the pew to the right, the first row. And his wife is on the second row. And I hear collective. She says, did anybody file for not to my lawyer, but she looks at the other one. She's like, did anybody file for an appeal? Great. Okay. Thank you. She said, I'm denying your appeal. She says she also denied something else. It was a lot to take in. Mind you, they came to this conclusion without me. I wasn't part of that conversation. I wasn't there. I wasn't standing in front of the judge. I hadn't uttered one word to anyone. And the judge says, do you have anybody to testify on the other side? The judge doesn't know that I'm there to make an impact statement. She says, yes, I have. No, not to testify, but I have an impact statement. She says, okay, bring the person. The lawyer turns to me and says, come here. So I get up. I don't look at the family on the way. I'm not angry at the family. My hatred isn't there. They're doing what I think most mothers would do. And hopefully if you were raised right, a good mom would have said, you need to pay for what you did. Not them. That's not what they chose to do. But I didn't look at them. I went straight inside the court. He stood across from me. I stood across from him, but a good distance. Like nice fair distance of like maybe 30 feet, 25 feet, something. It was a good feet. And I said his name. He looked up and he says, and I said, because they were explaining that he's had a difficult life and that he did whatever. So I went in there and I said, hey, I said, Jesse. And he looks up because he had his head down. And I looked at him and I said, my mother was also, I don't know if you know, a drug dealer, a drug user for the majority of my life. She was a heroin addict, I said. And from all the lessons that I've learned through her is that when she was in jail, she always said, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. I'm going to change person. And always knew that it was jail talk. Kind of the same thing that you're doing now. You're trying to prove that you're a better human being. But one thing my mom taught me was to never steal from another person. But that's coming from an addict. An addict taught me that. That even in her troubled times and her demons, she said, do not steal from somebody. I said, but that she put onto me. And I knew as an adult that I couldn't do that. I said, and so his mom had said, she called me a name during it. So I stayed quiet. They kicked her out of the courtroom. So I went right back. As soon as they walked her out, I went right back. And I said, that anger that she has towards me is because of you. Has nothing to do with me. I'm just the target of her anger. But I am someone's brother. I am someone's brother, uncle, cousin. I am someone's loved one. What you chose to do today, she gets to be angry, and she has the right to because she's a mother, because she raised this. And I said, but one thing that you forget, this is why she's angry. She's not angry at me. She's angry at you for what you did. I said, do you forget? I said, because my mother, who was an addict, taught me not to harm human beings. I said, but she didn't teach you this because you came back the second time. I said, but did you forget? I said, I think you're forgetting what you did. So let me remind you. You grabbed a knife and put it to my stomach. Do you remember that? Do you remember? That every single time you asked me for the passcode for Cash App, every single time I got it wrong, you pinned it closer to my stomach. You pushed it further in. You didn't care that the knife was in my mouth. You didn't care that it was in my temple. You didn't care that it was my forehead. You didn't care that it was in my face. All you wanted was the money. Because that's what you stole from me that day. My money, my laptop, my iPad, and I went through all this stuff and I said, you stole all that from me. But what you did is you robbed me from my future, my security. I said, now I own security cameras all around all around my house. I said, I have ant dogs now because I'm so scared. People that look like you now, I'm scared of. And that's my own people, my tierra. I have to be afraid of because of what you did. I said, I own up to my responsibility of what I chose to do that night. I own up to it. I made a mistake, but you aren't. You're not owning up to it. You haven't said, I'm sorry. You haven't said anything to show remorse. So this that the judge is saying that you're showing remorse, your family is saying that you are remorseful, I have yet to see it. But one thing you deserve is to learn your consequences. So, as my mother had to learn from going in and out of jail, she took 10 years, she did 5 years, she did 2 years, she did 4 years, she did 7 years. All those times I knew that she had to learn a lesson. I remember one time my sister asked me, do you have the money to get her out? And I said, no. I had just gotten paid that day, but I chose not to give it because she had to learn the lesson, as you do too. Your mother portrays you as a child. You're not a child, you're a grown man. So, those 12 years that the judge gave you, I wish she gave you more. I wish, because you deserve more, solely because you didn't learn your lesson. I took a breath, and the officer said, are you done? I said, yes. He says, go take a seat. As I'm walking towards my seat, you know how they have the flippy doors, I don't know what you call them. I pull the right one to go to the right. His sister gets up and starts charging towards me. She's about 6'3", very heavy set. She's like one burger away from a heart attack. She gets up and she says, I have your fucking social media. I said, I thought you were scared. Weren't you crying just 2 seconds ago? And she goes and she leaves. Now they're starting to say more things and they're starting to get angry. Thank you. Close it. So they're starting to get angrier and they're starting to get whatever. And it's starting to get louder and it's starting to get up, get out, get out. Officers are get up, get out in the court. It felt out of body at this moment. It felt like I was no longer sitting still. It felt like I almost was watching this on the TV show. And they pull the dad away because they have to roll him out because he's on a wheelchair. The mother has already been out. The sister went out. Now they're getting the dad and the stepmom. They get them out, and they tell somebody behind the dad and the stepmom. They get them out, and they tell somebody behind anyone else here, and so they get automatically. They tell the wife, get up and get out of here. And she says, I'm not going anywhere. He says, get up. They scream at her. They yell, get up. I'm not going anywhere. He's going to pay the price. She says, and calmly, she says to the officers, and they had to physically put their hands on her and get her out of there. So they escort her out. And there's an officer to the right. There's another officer in front of me, and they're like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I said, "I'm fine." Inside, I'm scared, of course. Inside, I'm nervous. This is the first time I've ever had to deal with something like this. But I said I'm fine because to the left was Jesse still there. Where were the tears? That when they're getting this upset, where are the tears for the family that you said you were crying for? Where are they? How come this doesn't bother you? How come their reactions aren't bothering you? He's not. He's like this. I'm sure he's taking pride in because the wife doesn't want to get up. I'm sure he's taking pride that the mother got to speak ill on my name. I'm sure he's taking pride that sister charged at me. Fuck you all. I was like, you don't fucking scare me, bitch. I'm not. And I'm not going to move from there. Did I have to be escorted all the way to my car? Absolutely. But I wasn't going to show their fear. I wasn't going to show them that they deserved any more fucking tears or any more fear from me. Now that's why I was like, I'm going to sit here. Do you know that a judge came up to me? A lawyer came up to me. We had nothing to do with this. He would just happen to be in the courtroom. And he says, I'm sorry you went through that. He said, but you spoke very well. He said, you did a fantastic job. I think it's funny that I make my impact statement and that I get to tell him how I feel for everything he did, and I get to say it, but he doesn't realize that I didn't have any impact in the result, in the sense of the judge got to see the facts of the case, went through all of them, went through piece by piece by piece by piece, and she decided this is your outcome. My impact statement was solely based on the fact that I got to tell him, the coward who held me at gunpoint or at knife point, what he did to me that day and how it's changed my life. That's all I did. God damn that I thought I only wanted to shake him up. I only wanted him to know exactly what he did to me. I didn't know that the family was going to be so bothered by my words that they had to threaten me. That they had to threaten me. And this is what she decided. She decided this based on the fact that what she had in front of her. And that he had prior cases. I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of that. I don't know any of that. This is my first time here, honey. I don't know what. When my judge said, look, it's because of this. He hasn't learned his lesson. He hasn't learned it. And that to me was me taking my power back. Did I tell him I forgive him? Absolutely. I didn't do this for show for anybody else. I did this solely because I didn't want to live with that anger anymore. So I told him, I forgive you. But you need to learn your consequence. Like your mom thinks of you as a child, or you're actually a grown-up. And you need to learn that consequences for your actions happen. So I pray that you learn, but who knows? All I know is that you deserve more time. I didn't want to live with this anger. I know I'm passionate about what happened because my adrenaline's still leaving my body. And I'm still trying to come up for air from that moment. I've never had to been escorted to my car because I was threatened by my life. But me staying silent and in control that today was me telling them, you're not going to get any more from me. You're not. I don't care what you say. I don't care how much anger you show. But show your family, show out reacting like the way they did. showcases exactly who you are. This is a prime example of your animal behavior based on your mother, your sister, and how they behaved in public, in front of and officers and lawyers. My mother, the heroin addict, didn't even do that. My mother, who was in and out of jail, didn't behave this way. And that, to me, is what tells me there's no self-control from them. So there's no remorse. Will he do it again? Absolutely. That tells me more than enough. Oh, yeah. That tells me enough. It's these things that I want to showcase for the people that are fearful or have to go through this again, or they're going through this right now, or God forbid that they have to go through it later on. I feel like I got my power back today. And I know one eyebrow's darker than the other, and I'm so sorry. It's because I was rubbing afterwards, and I was shaking, and I was nervous, and I was all of the above. But I wanted them to face their fear, to tell them that if they get the chance to speak to their whomever, it doesn't mean that they're going to learn a lesson. It doesn't mean that your words are going to vibrate through their life and it's going to make a huge impact. Absolutely not. I think I'm a realist person when it comes to the reality of what really happens. And I don't think this made any impact to him. But it made an impact to anybody else in the court that was on the other side of the pew, that was also there to have to defend themselves from what happened. That's who I was talking to. I was talking to the judges and the lawyers, that there are people like me who won't let this shit go. And as scary as it is, as scary as it was, I'm so grateful that's one less thing I have to worry about. I pray that the other guy hears the vibration of my words, and they vibrate so strongly and so scary that it gets in his ear and that he says, I plead guilty. No court, just guilt. I accept the time. Today I felt like I spoke, because I even got to tell him, like, I speak on behalf of my mother, my grandmother, my mom, my sister, and the women that stood before me and stand behind and beside me. I said, I am not afraid of you. And I think that's the one that I was like, you're up there. I didn't write anything down. I just knew that my words were going to be powerful today, and I knew I was going to fucking get you. And that's what I wanted to hear. Just me. And even the lawyer said, hey, you don't have anything written down? I said, no. Most people write something down. He said, I'm sure. And most people have to glance down at their words to know what they're going to say. Not me. I went straight, and let me tell you something. He looked at me directly in my eyes the entire time. The entire time. He didn't let go of that release, of that connection. And it was like this the entire time. The entire time. I asked a question, and he could have nodded or said no or whatever. And he didn't. He can't rebuttal. He can't speak. But he can show remorse. And he did it. And that, to me, was more than enough words. You don't have remorse. You just don't want to be in jail. He didn't intimidate me. I think he was trying that too. But he didn't intimidate me. That was a very scary moment. And I pray that I never have to see this again. But I just wanted to tell you, thank you all for constantly supporting and following. Part of me does get scared because she's here on my platforms. They are. The wife, the sister, the families. They made it very clear that they're watching. And in case you are, I wanted to tell you this. And I know you're angry at me because you think I did this to your son. I didn't. I didn't raise him. I didn't force him. I didn't do anything to him that night. But he did enough to me. He robbed me. He stole from me. And he also antagonized me. And then you're angry at me, but I also have to defend myself. I didn't get to put anything on your son. You're just the way your son put and your brother put on me and allowed to be in my face. Why is it okay that he gets to do that to some other human being's son? And the only thing you're angry about is that I got to speak my truth, and it triggered you so much to threaten my life. Didn't your son already do that? Didn't your brother already do that? Where he threatened enough of my life? But that wasn't enough for you. I pray that your kids never, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, are ever